Hi there, guys. This math lesson is 814. 814. We're going back to geometry, and we're talking today about quadrilaterals. Quadrilaterals. Quadrilaterals are shapes with four sides. Quad, Q-U-A-D, means four. That prefix means four. So quadrilaterals have four sides. And there are different types of quadrilaterals. So hopefully you've gone through on this assignment. And the first one was that cheat sheet. And it showed you the different types of quadrilaterals. Ooh, sorry, that was not an earthquake. I just bumped my computer. It looks a lot like this, right? We're going to talk about that in just a second. And then the other link before this one was the Number Rock song about quadrilaterals and the different kinds of shapes that fit into the quadrilateral section, right? Because quadrilaterals include several different shapes. In fact, 5 different shapes are included in this broad section of quadrilaterals. I love the Number Rock song. They explain that really well. So go back through and listen to it again if you need to. I'm going to try to make this teaching video pretty short. That song really goes through everything really well. And I want you to keep this cheat sheet handy. You can use it anytime you need to help you understand the different concepts about these different shapes. So all of these that are listed, a parallelogram, a rectangle, a square, a rhombus, and a trapezoid, they are all quadrilaterals. These all have four sides, but they are different shapes. I wish on this cheat sheet that they would have drawn the shapes for you or given you pictures to see. We might have to do that this time together. So in a parallelogram, opposite sides are parallel. That should be easy to remember because it's called parallelogram, right? Well, parallel means that if I have two lines that look like this, they are parallel. It means that they are exactly straight. Even if I shifted it like this, they are straight. And if these two lines went on forever and ever for infinity, because they're exactly straight, they would never meet. Now look, if I switch this line like this, then you can tell at some point, if these lines kept going, at some point, they would run into each other. That's not parallel. Parallel is when they're exactly straight. If they kept going forever and ever, they would never touch. They would never meet. They would never cross. They would always just keep going straight like this. Okay? So think about a square. A square is a parallelogram. That their shapes, I know I'm getting ready to use my board here. Their sides on a square will never meet. My girls have been using my markers, right? So these two sides of my square, and you know my drawings aren't perfect, these lines will never meet. They are going to go on forever and ever. So these two sides are parallel. Also, these two sides will be parallel. If they keep going forever and ever, they will never touch. They will never meet. So that's what parallel means. The next thing that it talks about for parallelograms is that their opposite sides are congruent. Congruent means equal in size, equal in length. Congruent, equal in length, okay? These two sides, this side and this side, they are congruent. They are exact same length in size. They're congruent. And then it says also that opposite angles are congruent. This angle, and then the opposite angle will be right down here. Those are congruent. They're equal. They're equal. We're not going to talk too much about angles today. We might mention a 90-degree angle. A 90-degree angle is a perfect angle. And the way I like to see is if a piece of paper would fit exactly in that. So let's look at this bottom corner right here. A piece of paper has corners that are exactly 90 degrees. And if it can fit right in there, that's a 90-degree angle. And we're going to talk about that. It's just like a perfect corner. Okay, rectangles. We know what a rectangle looks like. Let's draw one here. Can you see right here? Oops, that's not exactly parallel, Mrs. Norman. Oh, I am not the best artist, especially when I'm drawing on the side like that. So here's my rectangle. We're going to call it perfect, okay? Thanks. It says the opposite sides are parallel. Okay, so here's my opposite sides. I have top and bottom. These are opposite sides. They're parallel. It means that if we kept going forever and ever, these sides will never meet. And that is true. Right? They're never going to touch. They're just going to keep going that way forever. That is also the true for these two sides. It is hard to teach on a video, right? If these two lines right here keep on going forever and ever, they will never touch. So that means they're parallel. Perfect. Opposite sides are congruent. This side and this side are equal. They're congruent. These are the opposite sides. But also, we have to include this side, the top, and the bottom side. Those two also have to be equal, congruent in length. Those are congruent. And there are 4 right angles. The symbol for a right angle is a little square in the corner. These are right angles. And remember, right angles are the ones where a piece of paper will fit right in that corner. It's a right angle. Okie dokie. So that was a rectangle. The first one that we did was a square. It was a parallelogram, but it was also a square. Squares, think about a square in your mind. Opposite sides are parallel. Yes, for sure. I wish I had a square here to show you. What if I do without... Oh, let's use my charger. I'm just going to use my charger for now. Then I don't have to draw it. Okay, so we're just looking at the square, not the wires, just the square. Okay? Okay, so opposite sides are parallel. I've got top, bottom. If these kept going all the way into infinity, they would never meet. They would never meet. That means they're the same distance away from each other on this side as on this side, okay? So these two are parallel, but also these two sides are parallel. They are the same distance away from each other right here as they are here, and if those lines kept going, they would still stay the same distance away from each other. They will never meet, okay? I've got 4 right angles. Oh, I do. Let's see. That one's a right angle. That one's a right angle. That one's a right angle. And that one is a right angle. So I've got 4 right angles and all the sides are congruent. That's what makes it a square, right? Is if every side is the same length. So this length is equal to this length. And this length is equal to this length. Every side is the same length. That's what makes a square. A rhombus. Let's talk about a rhombus. In a rhombus, opposite sides are parallel. Okay, that's my rhombus today. Ooh, but I didn't do a very good job because all of the sides are congruent. So these ones look a little bit longer. But it's like a square. It's like a square at an angle, right? It's just been turned a little bit. Because all our opposite sides are parallel, right? These two sides are parallel, and these two sides are parallel. All the sides are congruent. This is the same distance or length as this one, which is the same as this one, which is the same as this one. But it does not have 4 right angles, which a square does. If I were to take a look, let's just take a look at this angle right here. Ooh, look, that does not fit in there exactly. If it would fit in there exactly, this line would be right here, right? But it's not. That angle is bigger than 90 degrees. And the same goes for this one down here. If this fit in there exactly, this line would be right there like that, right? And it's not. It is smaller than 90 degrees. So a rhombus does not have perfect corners. Some are wider than 90 degrees and some are smaller than 90 degrees. And that is what makes it a rhombus. It's like a square, but it's a little bit on it's just kind of been like shoved the other way. Does that make sense? Okay, last but not least is a trapezoid. A trapezoid has one pair of parallel sides. So these two lines are parallel, right? They are never going to meet. If they kept going forever, they will never meet, right? But then I've got 4 sides still, so I can make these sides come down like that. These two are not parallel lines, right? Because if I were to look at these, if they kept going, eventually they would meet, right? So those two are not parallel. But this one is, and this, well, I can't do that because that shows congruent. This one is parallel to that one, so I have one pair of parallel lines, and that makes it a trapezoid. Okay, and we're not worrying about angles on trapezoids. All right, so there's my shapes. That's what we're talking about today. Using those, now you can use your cheat sheet when you do your homework today. You can also listen to the song, the Number Rock song, right? Let's take a look at a couple of these ones. So let's look at number 1. It says circle all the names that describe this shape. Okay, we know we're talking about quadrilaterals, right? Quad means 4. So let's count how many sides this shape has. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. So this is a quadrilateral, so circle quadrilateral. I gotta scoot up a little bit, but we might still have to use our whiteboard. Okay, so first I'm gonna circle quadrilateral like that. But it says circle all the names that describe this. So first, okay, let me just ask. I do see square on here. Could this be a square? No, because not all the sides are congruent. They're not all the same size, right? Like, for instance, this line is way longer than this line or that line. So it's definitely not a square. Okay, so I know that. I can cross off square. I know also that it's not a rhombus because a rhombus says that all sides are congruent as well. These two are definitely not congruent. They are not the same length. So I'm going to cross off rhombus. It's definitely not a rhombus. A rectangle. A rectangle says the opposite sides are parallel. Well, on this one, the top and the bottom, those two are parallel. They go straight across. They're never going to meet. But it says the opposite sides are parallel, which means that this side and that side would have to be parallel. If these lines kept going, this would eventually run in to this line. These two are not parallel lines, so it cannot be a rectangle either. I'm going to cross off rectangle. Let's see. A parallelogram is another one that's listed on here. It says that opposite sides are parallel. Well, we just said that those two sides aren't parallel, so this cannot be, Don't go dark on me, computer. This can't be a parallelogram either. Let's look at trapezoid. The definition of a trapezoid, or characteristic of a trapezoid, is that it has one pair of parallel sides. Just one pair. So not all sides are parallel to the opposite side. Just one pair is, come on, Mrs. Norman. Yep, just one pair. So if we take a look, we already said that this top line and this bottom line, those two are parallel. These two are not, but that doesn't matter because the definition of a trapezoid, or a characteristic of a trapezoid, I can talk, says that only one pair is parallel. Well, this one and that one are parallel, so it can be considered a trapezoid. Even though this side doesn't come down like that, like a normal trapezoid that we would see, that's fine. This still is categorized as a trapezoid. So this shape right here is a quadrilateral and a trapezoid according to the characteristics of those shapes, right? Those characteristics are listed in the song, and it's listed on the cheat sheet that I gave you, okay? So let me talk about one more thing quickly here. We have, like on this picture, we have some little lines that's listed on here, and it's listed here, 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 here. These little tick marks, these lines, tell me what lines are congruent or equal in length. The one with one little line means that the other line opposite it is equal. So this line right here is equal to the other one that looks just like it. So this one line, those are equal. These have two little lines, and right here, right? So this means that this line with the two little lines is equal to this line with the two little lines. You can tell on this one as well that this line with one little line is equal, congruent to this line with the one little line. But this line that has the two little lines is equal to this line with the two little lines right there. Now this one right here is telling me, because all of these just have one line, one, that all of those are equal to each other. Okay, this line is equal to this line, but this line is also equal to this line and this line. So all of those lines are congruent. They are all equal in length. So what shape does that make? You're going to circle them down here. Then at the bottom, 5, 6, 7, and 8, it has you sketch a shape that fits the description. Okay, well, number 5 says a trapezoid with two right angles. Remember how I told you, that a trapezoid, or to show a right angle, is an angle that has a little square in it like that. That's a right angle. Well, we've already seen that on our homework today. We really have. In fact, it was number 1, and I can see we circled that this is a trapezoid, and it also shows two right angles, one right there and one right there. So if we're on number 5, we could actually draw this same shape. Maybe you could flip it and draw it the opposite way to show it differently, but this is the shape that they're meaning on here. Line of symmetry that's listed right here, these are the lines of symmetry, okay? We were talking about how they are congruent, but they're also lines of symmetry. So it just means you're going to draw a rhombus, and then you're going to put these little tick marks in to show the lines of symmetry, which lines are congruent, okay? I'm going to let you go and finish up, and we will discuss these. I'll tell you what, I'm going to put the answers in, this is tomorrow. We'll talk about it Wednesday morning in our Zoom, okay? Since this is Tuesday and you're doing it, if you have questions, save your questions and we'll talk about them in our Zoom Wednesday morning. We've got a Zoom at Wednesday at 10. So try your best, do as much as you can. I think you guys will be fine with this, but let's go back and then we'll go over the answers and we'll discuss any questions that you have Wednesday morning on our Zoom. Okay? Good luck, you'll do great.